In the small, dusty village of Amujarai, where red sand painted every footpath and hunger danced in many homes, lived a young girl named Glory. She was just 22, but her eyes held a sadness that spoke of a life far older. Her village was a place of simple mud-walled huts and thatched roofs, a world away from the dreams she secretly harbored. Every day felt the same, a cycle of hardship that seemed unbreakable. Glory's life at home was a constant battle. Her father, Mr. Thomas, was a man whose spirit had been broken by poverty. He was often disheveled and angry, his frustrations boiling over into shouts that echoed through their small compound. But the true source of Glory's daily misery was her stepmother, Mrs. Grace, a woman who adorned herself with heavy red coral beads and ornate headpieces. She looked upon Glory with a cold, wicked gaze. She saw Glory not as a daughter, but as a servant, a burden to be worked to the bone. Glory's days were a blur of endless chores. From the crack of dawn, you could see her crouched over an open fire, smoke stinging her eyes as she cooked for the family. Her hands, rough and calloused, swept the compound tirelessly, pushing back the ever-present red dust. Under the scorching afternoon sun, she would be out in the fields, her back aching as she farmed, her sweat watering the dry earth. There was no rest, no kindness, only the relentless demands of her stepmother and the resentful silence of her father. She was trapped in a life that was slowly extinguishing the light within her. One sweltering afternoon, a man named Harrison came to their compound. He was strong and muscular, his white tank top torn from hard labor on his cassava farm. He had worked for Glory's father and had come to collect the money he was owed. He approached Mr. Thomas respectfully. "Sir, please," he said, his voice firm but tired. "I need my money today." Mr. Thomas, instead of paying him, let out a wicked, chilling laugh. He pointed a dismissive finger towards Glory, who was nearby. "Well, take that girl instead," he sneered. "My daughter, she's good for nothing. Let her go with you to the city. That is your payment." The words hung in the air, heavy and cruel. Harrison was stunned, his eyes darting from the heartless father to the young woman being sold like property. Glory's world shattered. She fell to her knees in the red dust, tears streaming down her face as she begged her father, her voice choked with sobs. "Please, father, don't do this to me." But her pleas fell on deaf ears. Mr. Thomas turned his back on her, his decision final. Harrison watched the scene unfold, a storm of emotions crossing his face. He saw her desperation, her pain, and in that moment, felt a strange mix of pity and a flicker of attraction. There was a strength in her, even as she knelt defeated. With no other choice, Glory slowly rose. Her heart was a stone in her chest as she went inside to pack her few belongings into a small, black plastic bag. As she left her home for the last time, a small face appeared in the window. It was her little half-brother, his small hand waving a sad, silent goodbye. The journey to the city was a quiet one. Glory and Harrison sat on a worn-out bus, the rumble of the engine a constant drone. The landscape changed outside the window, from dusty red paths to lush green fields, and finally to the sprawling, chaotic beginnings of the city. Glory stared out, her reflection a ghost against the passing world, her mind a whirlwind of fear and uncertainty. What kind of life awaited her? Was this man, this stranger she was sold to, any better than the family she had left behind? Every mile took her further from everything she had ever known and deeper into the unknown. The bus finally pulled into a bustling station, the air thick with noise and exhaust fumes. When they arrived at their destination, Glory couldn't believe her eyes. It wasn't a shack or a crowded tenement building like she had imagined. Before her stood a massive, luxurious white mansion. Golden gates gleamed in the sun, protecting a world of manicured lawns, a sparkling fountain, and a driveway filled with high-end cars. It was a palace, a dream world she never knew existed. Harrison led her through the gates, her small plastic bag feeling utterly out of place in this opulent setting. Inside, she was introduced to the owner of the house, Mrs. Walker, an elegant older woman who greeted her kindly, dressed in a beautiful, sparkling gown. Glory learned she was to work as a housemaid. Her new workplace was a modern, high-end kitchen, a world away from the open fire she was used to. It was clean, spacious, and filled with gleaming appliances she didn't even know how to use. For the first time in a long time, a tiny seed of hope began to sprout in her heart. Life in the mansion was different. She worked hard, but she was treated with a respect she had never known. Mrs. Walker was a kind employer, and Harrison, who also worked for the family as a driver and handyman, was always a quiet, reassuring presence. However, the mansion held its own temptations. Mrs. Walker's son, Daniel, was a handsome and wealthy young man who noticed Glory immediately. One day, he cornered her in the kitchen, his eyes roaming over her. He was dressed in a vibrant red shirt, confident and bold. "Damn, you are so beautiful," he said, his voice smooth. "Wow, girl, you are so damn hot." He moved closer, his intentions clear. "Just say yes to me, my love, and your life will never be the same. I'll sponsor you to study abroad, anything you want." The offer was staggering, a path to the education she had always dreamed of. But Glory looked him straight in the eye, her resolve firm. "I am not interested," she said clearly. "I am focused on my marriage and my dream to go to school." She had come to see Harrison as her husband in this new life, and her loyalty was not for sale. Over time, the bond between Glory and Harrison grew deeper. He was her protector, her confidant, her only family in this new city. They had fallen into a comfortable rhythm, a quiet understanding that blossomed into genuine love. They were married in a small, simple ceremony, their joy pure and true. One evening, Harrison led her into their room, which he had decorated beautifully for her. On the table, he had laid out something that made her gasp, stacks and stacks of cash. "What is this?" she asked, her eyes wide. "I've been saving this for a long time," Harrison said, his voice thick with emotion. "I want you to use this money for your education. Go to school, Glory. Fulfill your dream." Tears welled up in Glory's eyes. It was more money than she had ever seen. "No, Harrison, never," she whispered, shaking her head. "This is your money, your dream." He took her hands in his gaze intense and full of love. "You are my dream, Glory," he said softly. "You're a queen. You've just been hidden in the wrong palace. Now it's your time to build your own." With Harrison's unwavering support, Glory enrolled in school. She studied harder than anyone, fueled by a lifetime of suppressed ambition. The years flew by in a flurry of books, exams, and late-night study sessions, with Harrison always by her side, cheering her on. The day she graduated was one of the proudest moments of their lives. There she was, standing on a stage in a crisp white doctor's coat, her smile radiant as she held her degree. In the audience, Harrison, dressed in an expensive white suit, was on his feet, cheering louder than anyone. Their success didn't stop there. Their love brought them an even greater blessing: beautiful, healthy triplet babies. Their home, once a small staff quarter, was now a beautiful house of their own, filled with laughter and joy. One day, years later, the phone rang in their lavish mansion. Glory, now a respected doctor and mother, answered it. The voice on the other end was weak and trembling, a voice from a past she had long since buried. It was her father. "My daughter," he croaked, his voice filled with a desperate, manufactured regret. "My daughter, please forgive me. We are suffering. Your stepmother is sick. Please, we need your help." Glory stood on her balcony, overlooking the glittering city skyline, a symbol of the life she had built from nothing. She listened to his pathetic pleas, and a cold calm settled over her. The frightened girl who begged in the dust was gone forever. In her place stood a powerful, self-made woman. "With all due respect, sir," she replied, her voice steady and clear. "Never. I will not be disrespected again. You made your choice years ago." She paused, then added, "Take good care of your miserable wife." Then she ended the call, cutting the final tie to her painful past. She stood there for a long moment, a queen in her own palace, finally free. Dear viewers, what a powerful story of resilience and transformation. From the dust of a Mujirai to the heights of the city, Glory's journey teaches us so much. What lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories. Thanks for watching.